Good morning, this is Josh at Mass Gunworks. I had a little bit of time before I took off to work, and I wanted to share a project I worked on with you guys. This was a really fun gun to work on. Fairly simple fix to the problem the customer had. What we have here is a 1903 Springfield 30-06. It is absolutely gorgeous. He picked this up at a local gun shop in, I think, the Brownsburg, Indiana area. Just giving you a little walk around here. Not real sure how much you paid for it, but this rifle is in nearly immaculate shape. I didn't notice any rust. There's a little bit of copper fouling in the barrel. Rifling looks wonderful. Action is good. Trigger is excellent. All the controls work. The sight is in wonderful shape. Based on the little bit of research I did, I'm guessing that this rifle was manufactured back World War I era. Based on this is the original stock that came with it. Based on this stock, style of stock, my guess is World War I era, and it's had a new barrel put on it, but it's got a serial number that's low enough that leads me to believe it was pre-1930. It's a beautiful gun. The issue the customer had when he bought it, he wanted me to take a look at it and evaluate it because it is an older weapon. He wasn't real confident just taking it out and shooting it. So from what I've been able to ascertain with these rifles, they're chambered in 30-06, and they're not like the M1 Garand where you need to be real careful about what specific 30-06 ammo you fire out of them. Sorry. But based on the age of the one that you may have at your hands at the time, you may be wiser to shoot a lower pressure 30-06. Sorry, I got some puppies in the background. They're making some noise. Or hand load your own, and you want to avoid, from what I've read, using really hot stuff like Federal Fusion or some of these really hopped up cartridges. So anyways, I don't know if you can see it real well, but there is a big crack right there on that cross pin, and this cross pin is where the recoil lug sits. Okay, so this stock had two cross pins to help reinforce it for recoil, but that crack goes all the way around. And it's been repaired. It was glued or epoxied back together, and I mean, quite honestly, I think that whoever repaired this, they did what they could, and it doesn't look bad. But would I be willing to repeatedly shoulder this weapon and fire it? No. So I advised the customer to get a new stock, and he found one. Walnut, gorgeous stock. So I didn't really have to do a lot to this at all. The company, I'll just get the box here in a second and see if I can find the name of the center. But the guy that builds these stocks, they're pretty well inletted, all that they need to be inletted. The only inletting that I really had to do was right up here for this spring clip for the the band that has the sling swivel. Other than that, I mean, it was just a drop-in. I did go ahead and bed here, and it did not come with new cross pins or a pillar bushing for back here, so I bought some new ones of those for him. But I epoxy bedded the recoil lug up here, and I did that because I want to make sure that recoil lug has a good, solid surface to lie in, and it's not going to come loose as soon in the timetable as just putting it in the wood would, because when it starts moving around up here because it's loose and it's bedding, this rear screw and tang back here just starts acting like a splitting maul. And if you see cracks back here, it's probably because this recoil area here is loose and you probably got a crack developing there. So went ahead and just dropped the top wood on there. It doesn't match as well as I'd like it to, but I sent a picture to the customer and he said, hey, I'm good with it. So when you go to disassemble a weapon like this, there's a couple things that you want to be cautious of. So don't just dive right into it. Take some time, look it over. Take a look at what you're working with. For instance, if you want to get the action out, you got your 2 action screws down here, but you got to get this top wood off. So the first thing you need to do is take this barrel band off, and to do that, there's a little spring clip here you got to push in. Luna, no. And you remove this barrel band, and then you got to come up here and take this off. Okay, well, this is the bayonet lug and the end cap. So there's a screw here that comes out, and this is a pin as well, and it holds this nose cap on. Okay, so you got to take that off. Well, all that has to go over the front sight. Okay, so this front sight has a spring-loaded hood that you can just pop off with a brass punch. It comes up pretty easily. And you have to drift out the front sight. So the front sight's dovetailed in, and I'm going to try and get this in here close enough to where you can see it, but there's a little flathead screw right there. Okay, now when you see things like that, you should think, is that holding something in? Because it's not just there for decoration. So that flathead screw in the end of the front sight is actually a pin, and it helps hold. Sorry, it's like 4:30 in the morning. It helps hold the front sight in place. So you don't want to just go wailing on the front sight and try and drift it out before you get that pin out, because you'll break something. So my one piece of advice with something like this is make sure that you're doing the due diligence to examine the weapon, look it over real well, and say, hey, does this need to come off before I take this off? What's the order of operations here? If you don't know, and you're just not confident with figuring out on your own, up on YouTube, there's guys like me. There's another fellow named Mark Novak. He does a lot with Sea and Arsenal over in South Carolina. There's all kinds of disassembly and reassembly videos of a myriad of guns. So you have resources at your disposal. Just be cautious, take your time, you won't screw something up. So it's a beautiful gun, beautiful. One of the things I found neat about it was this cartridge cutoff. So when it's on, I believe it'll only allow you to load, when it's on, you can load from the magazine. So in that position. When it's off, it won't go all the way back. You see how that won't allow you to put the stripper clip in? So you load one at a time. So if you want to remove the bolt, what you do is you take this cartridge cut off, and there's a middle notch. You drop it in, bolt comes right out. So then the safety is much like a Mauser safety. In fact, this weapon is very Mauser-esque. Notice the extractor. It's got a big old recoil lug right here, and two up in the front on the nose. So it's actually got 3 recoil lugs. It's a very robust, strong action. It's a very robust, strong action. So we have the safety here, and then that kind of decocks a little bit. But you can also take and hold this and let the firing pin down gently to decock the weapon after you've unloaded it. Sight, it's got a ladder style. There's a windage adjustment knob right here, and there's 2, let me get it in here. There's 2 notches. It says 00 on either side. That gives you your center for windage, and then you can adjust it here. But this will flip up, and then you can raise it, and it's graduated way out there. Probably farther than I can see with my naked eye. This rifle in particular is special to members of the United States Marine Corps. This is a rifle that, from what I understand, is deeply embedded in their history as a branch of the U.S. military. I believe that in the little illustration that you see with the gentleman with the World War I style hat that's taking a knee and aiming the rifle, it's kind of an icon, if you will, that is synonymous with the Marine Corps. This rifle is the one that he's holding. There's a couple of rifles that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's something that kind of, I don't know if represents is the right way to put it, but every time I see these weapons, I think that's a rifle that I associate with the Marine Corps. The M14 is one, and this is another one. So I never served in the armed forces, but my grandfather was in the Marine Corps, and he was very proud of that. Because of that, you jarheads hold a special place in my heart. And because of that, I've kind of been intrigued by military history, and especially the weapons that different branches used, and ones that kind of, became an icon, if you will, of that branch of service. This rifle in particular is kind of one of the reasons, well, I guess not one of the reasons, but it's closely associated with how the Marines got the nickname Devil Dog. The story that I've read in historical accounts is there was a certain battle in World War I, and the Germans were taking effective fire from United States Marine Corps out to 800 yards, open sights with this rifle. And they were in awe of the marksmanship ability. And in German, I believe the phrase is Treibelhund, which basically translates to hellhound. So that's kind of where that nickname came from. Again, that's a story that kind of makes me chuckle a little bit. And because of my grandpa being who he is, you know, you guys have a special place in my heart. So I appreciate pieces of history like this, the stories behind them, and the special connection that they have to certain branches of the military. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Sorry about the little cut in the video. I had a technology issue. And I apologize if there was any audio problems. I'm filming this on my iPhone and I forgot my GoPro in the house. But if you found this interesting, you know, hit that like button, give me a subscribe. If you have anything that you would like to contribute to, you know, everybody else's knowledge base with the history of this rifle, or any, you know, stories or history of this specific rifle, the M1903 Springfield, having with a certain branch, like if there's, you know, if there's some neat historical accounts of the Army, or I guess what in pre-Air Force, but you know, the Navy or whoever having a really, you know, neat experience with this rifle, like the U.S. Marines did in World War I, getting their nickname. Let me know. You know, I really enjoy hearing that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that some of you guys out there do as well. So, real fast, go over some of the details. Feed and wax, good wax. Love the smell of it. It's got kind of an orange scent. It's good for treating wood. I use this on gun stocks a lot because it helps maintain kind of a waterproof element. I prefer not to use varnish or lacquer because if it gets wet, you don't dry it off right away, it'll stain. Wax, not so much. It sheds water. Let me get this box, and I'll tell you who the person is that he got this stock from. Okay, this stock came from a gentleman named Kevin William Blackhurst in Midland, Michigan. If I'm able to get the email or web address for it, I'll put it in the comments. So I'm going to return this weapon to the customer today, so I'll ask him specifically about that. But it's been kind of a long video. Apologize, but hope you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.